Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We have seen the first two chapters in the book. Today we have to study the third chapter. Now, remember today's class is the most important one in terms of understanding the basic definitions that we would be studying throughout the text. So, unless you are thorough with the basic concepts that we would be seeing today, it would be difficult for us to, study the advanced ideas as the text, progresses. You know, so today's class is more of, pure theorems. You see, it's like knowing, certain basic concepts. So that's what we will be seeing in this topic. And of course, there is a very, very important practical message which you can use right through your life is also given in the text. So always we find in this textbooks, we find always concept and immediately there is a thing given to us to directly apply in our life. Concept is explained, application is there. Application, concept, application, both come together always. So that is how this text is designed. So first, what the author has done is he has explained the role of Vedanta. What is the role of Vedanta? The role of Vedanta is to introduce. I'm only giving you the run through of the entire section. So first he introduces what is the subject Vedanta in your life. Vedanta is given to you to understand your real self. What is your real nature? What is God? What is reality? What is the truth? That's what the subject is meant for, which is unknown to you. So anything that is unknown, you have to gain that knowledge only through what is known to you. Therefore, he analyzed in the second chapter the world and human, the world and you, general analysis. Then in the third chapter, he is moving on to analyzing what is the connection between you and the world. What is that interaction? What is that interaction results in? And what is the direction of that interaction is going towards? When you interact with the world, that is life. Of course, we will see that. Okay, I'm just I'm just giving you the idea that that's it. So you contact the world, there is life. Experience is equal to life. And what is the direction of this life is taking you towards? And what is the direction it should be going in? Where it should be leading you to? Of course, we have seen already what is the fundamental desire for all of us is happiness. Is your life directing you towards happiness or not? What is this? This is the study, third chapter. Fourth chapter, if that is what the final destination is, then there has to be a code, there has to be a principle to be followed. That that life should have certain parameters, certain direction, certain principles needs to be followed there. Those principles he gives in three different aspects: your physical, emotional, intellectual. Three disciplines. Code of living. Next chapter. Then he again takes up those three principles: physical, with reference to physical action, with reference to emotional personality, emotions, intellectual personality, knowledge. Takes up those three ideas, deals with that in detail in the subsequent three chapters: exigency of action, strength of emotion, light of wisdom. This is 5, 6, 7. Chapter 5, 6, 7. The 8th chapter, he says, if you follow all these things, where does that life culminates into? What should have been the outcome? And concludes that with the personality chart. So, culmination of life, where it concludes. This is the introductory section of the book. So each chapter, I'm only giving how each chapter telescopes into the next chapter, how it leads, what is the link between chapters. Because whenever you read a book, first thing we see is this: does the chapters leading to one another, or it is just a random topics given in sequence? That's about it. 1, 2, 3, 4. There is no necessity of the previous chapter for the next chapter. That sort of a study won't help you. The books. So whenever you pick up a book, particularly when you take this book of philosophy, scriptural book or spiritual textbooks, first thing you should see is this: what is the way the author is building the idea, or is he throwing thoughts at random? Random thoughts will not help you. Thoughts which is building systematically alone will help you. This is introductory section. Then when we go to section 2, application of Vedanta, I will explain there how the thoughts are moving there, and the essence of Vedanta, how the thoughts move. What is the sequence? So all that you need to know now is what is the sequence in the first section, introductory section. What is the sequence? Now we are in this place where we have to see the first idea of composition of life. Now what he says is, your life is nothing but the experiences that you are having. What is your life? Life is defined as anubhavadhara, means the flow of experiences, the stream of experiences. Like how you would see the bubbles coming in the fish tank. Blob, 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 those bubbles keeps coming. There is a flow to those bubbles. And each bubble is independent. Remember that. Each bubble is independent. But at the same time, those bubbles create a stream. It's a flow. Similarly, life means the flow of your experiences. Which means, if there is no experience of the world, you are said to be dead. That's why people scream next to the ears of the man who is dead, near the dead body. People scream. He can't hear anything. They put the body into fire. He doesn't feel the heat at all. Why? He doesn't experience. That experience is not there, means dead. Then he goes on to analyzing what is an experience. Experience is made up of two factors, says the subject and the object. The subject is the individual you, the object is the world. We have seen what is the world. World means anything other than you is world, including your better halves. is also world only. Okay, you can't say my half is here, one half is there. Anything other than you is world. Now that world is broadly classified under three sections: nature, wealth, people. Now, if you want to categorize into five, you can create another two also. There are people who can add seven. There are people who add more. This is the simplest dimension. There are three broad sections in the world, made up of what we interact with. We interact with nature. We interact with wealth. We also interact with people. So those who study the nature, wealth, and people were called as objective scientists. That's called objective science. Generally, we call that as science. Whenever we use the word science, what we are referring to is any one of that. How best we can group people together and make the world a better place to live. How to enhance the comforts, wealth that you can have from the world. How we can enhance, harness the nature to our advantage. All this study was done by the scientists, and they have done a phenomenal work. These objective scientists have worked so well. But then the other part of the experience, which is the subject, the individual is left unattended. To attend to that individual is where the subjective science comes into picture. That is what we call as Vedanta. So when we say Vedanta, what we are referring to is the subjective experience, the subjective dimension of experience. The subject who is experiencing, that is you. It's like two chemicals. You add chemical A and chemical B. There is a product. There is a reaction and the product comes in. That is experience. What are the chemicals, sir? One is you, the subject. Another one is the world, the object. Now, if you want to make your life better, you have to make the constituents of life, which is experience, better. If you have to make your experience better, you have to make the constituents of experience, which is the subject and the object, better. So, by improving the quality of the subject and the quality of the object, experience gets bettered. Once the experience gets bettered, your life will get better, automatic. It is as simple as that. So how do you make your life better, sir? You have to make both the world and you. What is interesting is the world was made better, but the individual is not attended to. You may be wondering, hey, what do you mean by that? What we mean is we don't even understand what is an individual. See, what are you made up of? Forget about you knowing so many things about us. But what is relevant is to know what is an individual. It's like having a meal. You can enjoy a meal only when you have a good appetite, also a good meal. Your experience of that eating is the best. Suppose you have an excellent meal being prepared, and imagine you have diarrhea and you are stomach upset. You have nauseation for food. Can you enjoy that meal? Now, today, everyone's life has become like that. What does it say? We have put in so much of effort to prepare the ground, prepare the meal so good. But the tragedy is what? There's no appetite. What do you mean there is no appetite, sir? At the age of 40, the fellow says, I'm going for voluntary retirement. Why? If I go for one more week to job, I collapse. I break down. Relationships breaking down. Individuals breaking down. Social things breaking down. Everywhere there is a breakdown, breakdown, breakdown. Why there is a tremendous breakdown? And each one of us blame something other than me. It's because of that. It's because of this. It's because of that. It is because of him, because of her, because of this, because of that. If you cannot point anything in this direction, you immediately point upwards. It's because of him. That him could be anything. You can say Vastu, him. You can say Graha, him. If you don't believe in, people say Shani, is not good now. Now 2-3 days back, we had this Rahu Kedu, shifting happened. Oh my God. How many fellows have been inquiring? Now you don't have any control over Rahu or Ketu. He's not going to be listening to you. So what do you say? Any problem you go through, you put a blame on him and say this is because of Shani, it is because of this fellow. If you don't know all these names, you generally call one word, God or government. Either you blame God or you blame government for every problem of yours. But one thing for sure, what? It is not because of me. Nowhere we are willing to acknowledge for my problems, I am the cause. Why? Because total ignorance here. That's why first thing he does is he says, move on to the study of what is the mechanism of individual and understand how this individual is interacting with the world to create that experience. Now, initially we have seen only that. When you interact with the world, you gain experience. That's all we have said. But then comes a technical question of what aspect of my individuality is interacting with what aspect of the world and how that interaction is happening. Like, people say you should get educated. I ask them to all the students, I ask this, what is in you getting educated? Do you know that? You say, I am getting educated, correct? What aspect of your personality is getting educated? Your eyes, your ears, your brain? Because the brain is the same, not everybody. Everybody has got more or less the same brain. No big difference. It's like everybody has, eyes are different. No, similarly, brain is also different. That's about it. Now, what is a big difference, man? Does your brain getting educated? That doesn't mean you have no connection to brain, to education. So does it mean there is no connection between brain and education? What is it? What is getting educated in you? And I ask, everybody looks at me as, why are you asking this question itself, first of all? Isn't it obvious? Many of us think, isn't it obvious? I am getting educated. The point is, what is in you getting educated? Do you know that? When you don't know what is in you getting educated, how can you improve it? How can you make it better? For which you have to know what is the mechanism of human. Now remember, I told you today's class is pure theorem. There's no philosophy. So far, there is no philosophy. Remember, philosophy part comes little later. Right now it is only theorem. Now see this carefully. Every human being is a combination. of two things, spirit and matter. The spirit dimension of your personality is known as the life spark, Atman, Brahman, God, pure consciousness, awareness, the thing in itself, the life principle, etc. All this is the spirit dimension. The other part is the matter. When this matter and spirit together produces human being. The matter dimension has three aspects to it: body, mind, intellect. These are the three aspects. Forms matter. Body is what you see in front of the mirror. That is your body. When you stand in the what you see is body. Mind means manas. Intellect is buddhi. Please don't look into English dictionary, please. Because there, mind and intellect is used as synonymous terms. Right. Now, in Vedanta, we use very particularly. Mind means different. Intellect is different. There are two different equipments in you. The outer personality of yours is the body. Within that body, you carry that inner personality. That inner personality is made up of your mind and intellect, manas and buddhi. The real personality is the spirit, which you don't know today. And temporarily, we are not going to be discussing anything pertaining to the spirit dimension of your personality. We don't discuss that at all right now. We are going to be focusing from now, we will be discussing only with reference to the matter dimension of your personality interacting with the self. Now, how does it work, sir? It works exactly like this. It's like a bulb. That electric bulb, when it comes in contact with electricity, there is light. When refrigerator comes in contacts with electricity, there is refrigeration. When the heater comes in contact with electricity, there is heating. That's what it is. Your being, right now, you are a living organism. You are a being. How you are a living organism, functioning and all those things are because of the matter in contact with the spirit, the life spark. That's what we call it, as a life spark in you. Like, what is it that which enlivens the bulb to give light? Is the electricity. Bulb by itself cannot give light, nor electricity by itself can give light. Refrigerator by itself cannot give refrigeration. Electricity by itself also cannot give refrigeration, etc. You see, both are not possible individually. When they come together, there is a being. That human being is going to be contacting the world. Now, what is that matter dimension of your personality interacts with the world? Body only, through the body. Now, what is this body, sir? Body is very easy to understand, relatively speaking, at least initially, as far as we are concerned, Vedanta is concerned. When we say body, what we mean is two sets of equipments, two sets of organs. One set is called as organs of perception. Another one is called as organs of action. Organs of perception and organs of action, known as Jnanendriyas and Karmendriyas. Jnanendriyas means the organs through which you receive that knowledge, that information from the world in the form of stimulus. Then Karmendriyas were organs of action through which you execute action. 5 and 5. 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. This is organs of perception. Similarly, you have organs of action. Hands, feet, speech, organ of speech, organ of evacuation, organ of procreation. These put together is called organs of action, karmendriyas. So anytime we say karma, we refer to engagement of these things. Jnanendriyas means we are engagement of this 5, one or more. So remember that. These are all very important to recognize. Now suddenly don't ask me, Ishwaran, what about heart? What about heart? What about this? All that, please. Now, the equipments which is used to interact with the world is what we are analyzing. Remember that. That is why you need to know the context. The subject Vedanta is not interested. Philosophy is not interested in studying your body. How you can make your body more effective. That is not the job of philosophy. That is the job of medicine. They will take care of it. We are not going to be worried about that. That doesn't mean you have to forget about the whole thing. That's why he says his body should be used exactly like a vehicle. How you use your car to move from your home to office, office to your club, wherever you want to travel, you use your car. Similarly, body is the vehicle used by that inner personality to contact the world. That inner personality cannot contact the world directly. It has to contact the world only through the body. That's where the problem is. Now, when you have to contact the world, you need a medium. The medium is the body. If you are not going to use that medium directly, your mind cannot get in touch with the world. Not possible. You see, this manas and buddhi needs the body to contact. But the problem is, a layman doesn't understand manas and buddhi, which is housed inside the body. So to explain to him, they were using these two words, referring to the heart for mind, head for intellect, buddhi, heart and head. The reference is for the mind and intellect. The problem is, we started searching for mind in the heart. It's not that, please. It's only a representation. That's about it. Exactly like the national flag represents nation. That's about it. That doesn't mean the nation is inside the flag. Isn't it? Like your son comes and says, Papa, I'm going for my final exams. Bless me. Nowadays they don't do it, but I'm just saying for example's sake at least. Okay. He comes and says, bless me. You tell him immediately what? Hey, take the blessings from your grandfather also. And you show one photograph. What is in the photograph? There is a paper in which there is some color print or black and white print, and there is a glass and a wooden frame. Do you call that as your grandfather? If your son were to ask, do you mean to say that is your father? What would be your answer? But for you, that is your father, isn't it? That is your mother. As far as you are concerned, where is your father? If someone were to ask, where is your mother? Can you show me your father? Can you show me your mother? Immediately you point to that. If I pay respects to that, you assume, you take it as I'm paying respects to your father, mother. If I'm disrespectful towards that, you take it as though I'm being disrespectful towards your father, mother. But one thing for sure, it is not them. then what is it, sir? It is only your association. That's about it. Similarly, they just associated the mind to heart and intellect to head, brain. That's why in the class, mathematics teacher always asks, no, don't you have brains? Can't you understand this much? Yeah. Similarly, we tell people have a heart. That doesn't mean a fellow is, hollow there. Inside there is nothing. Of course, we means what? Have some feeling, have some emotion, have some consideration. Be kind. Why can't you be compassionate? We refer to those emotions when we use the word heart. That's about it. That doesn't mean your heart contains it, please. Nor your intellect is in the brain. Then I will ask you, is your father sitting inside that photograph? It will be as absurd as that. Dissecting that photograph, bring down that frame and dissecting that to find out where is your father. Exactly same way, dissecting the brain to figure out where is intellect sitting in the brain would be redundant. Unfortunately, those people could not get a better example like we can have today. That's why Vedanta is so grateful to the technology. Your body, this would be much easier for you. Head and heart are confusing. How it works is, the electricity in your computer right now is the life spark. And there is a hard drive, motherboard, various chips. That is your body. And inside that, there is a software, isn't it? There is an operating system there. And then you have this software loaded, all that. That is mind and intellect. So the hard drive of the system is called the body. The software that is mounted on that is called mind and intellect. Now imagine if you have to identify the software, I open the motherboard and search for where is that. Can you find out? You can take that Intel chip and show, is the software sitting inside that Intel chip? It is, but at the same time, it is not there. Same way, if that software has to work, it needs electricity. If the software has to work, it also needs what, sir? The motherboard also. The chip is also needed. Without the chip, the software cannot function. Just because you have the chip doesn't mean you can browse. You say what? No. You have to download that software. You have to upload that operating system. That is the mind and intellect. That mind and intellect, using the body, interacts with the world. What is the interaction, sir? Now, mind and intellect, you need to get this definitions by hearted. Remember this. These things cannot be given as an option, please. You, anytime someone were to ask you what is mind, what is intellect, you got to close your eyes and gada, you should be able to say this. Repeat it. Keep on repeating it. And it's not so complex, please. Right? You just follow this carefully. The idea here. What is this mind? And what is intellect? Mind means manas. Manas means the collection of feelings, emotions, impulses, likes and dislikes, desires. This collection is called mind. Intellect means that with which you think, reason, judge, decide, comprehend. The capacity in you to comprehend something, the capacity in you to analyze, to reason, to investigate, to explore, to discern, to discriminate. Now this is the problem. When I say discriminate, people take it very wrong. Remember, we are not discussing politics, we are discussing philosophy. In politics, using the word discrimination is wrong. It's a very wrong word. In philosophy, it's a beautiful word. Discrimination means you should be able to know the difference between the door and the wall. If you cannot discriminate, you will be attempting to walk through the wall instead of walking through the door. That is what we are referring to. Intellect means that. In a very simple way to understand intellect, remember this example. My ability to understand the difference between the door and the wall, and I understand that I can pass through the door, I cannot pass through the wall. I can open the door and walk out. I cannot do that with reference to the wall. This is called intellect, in a very, very simple manner to understand. Now, also, what you need to recognize is few things with reference to this mind and intellect. Now, when we say these feelings, emotions, impulses, likes and dislikes, desires, and all these things, don't try to understand them as one. It's like you ask a person to draw a face. Imagine that you tell a person that you draw a face. What he will do? He will draw eyes, nose, head, cheek, chin, lips. All this he'll put. And ask that fellow, hey, what is this? Eyes. What is this? Eyebrows. What is this? Nose. What is this? Cheek. What is this? Chin. Forehead. Ear. Hair. What is the question asked to you? What are you supposed to draw? You say, I'm supposed to draw face. You ask him back, where is face here? You have pointed out where is nose, where is eyes, where is this, where is that, where is face? Can you ever draw a face? You can never draw a face. Remember that. You can always draw only what? Nose you can draw, eyes you can draw, eyebrows you can draw, however bad it is. Doesn't matter. Good, bad, Allah, we don't care here. Similarly, don't try to understand mind to be an independent entity. It's a collection. Now, we all treat face to be something independently existing apart from all these things. Imagine you delete eyebrows, delete eyes, delete nose, delete all this. Where is face? Face is what's a collection. Similarly, this mind and intellect is also collection of certain things. What is the collection of all these things? Emotions, feelings, likes and dislikes, all that put together is called mind. Then we have to study individually what is each one of them. But what is interesting is all put together has a fundamental nature. You see, suddenly you don't, when you are drawing the face, suddenly you don't put fingers there. Why is that? You don't get a finger in the face. It is only in the hands. Isn't it? Same way. Here, you don't put certain things. Why, sir? It has something common. What is common to all these things? Feelings, emotions, impulses, likes and dislikes, desires. All that has one thing common. What is common, sir? All these things are indiscriminate flow of thought. The thoughts that flowing indiscriminately. That is why when you love someone, you can never give a logical reason for loving that person. Isn't it? That's why they say love is blind, isn't it? Why they say love is blind? Because you can't You can't give a logical explanation for it. You can't reason out and say, why I love that person is reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, reason 4 means that's not love. There is no logic there. Indiscriminately it will flow. Why do you like that? Why you don't like this? Why you desire that? Why you are not desiring this? You can't give an explanation. One fellow says, I like mathematics. Another fellow hates mathematics. One fellow loves to smoke. Another fellow hates smoking, detesting it. Now, what logic you can give for it? You see, this same way, you have another set of thoughts in you, which are called discriminated in nature, logical and sequential in nature, progresses appropriately. That progressive thoughts is called as intellect. Some collection of all the thoughts were called discriminated thoughts. Indiscriminated thoughts, mind. Maybe little tight. So we go to another explanation of mind and intellect. Little easier way to understand also. This is about 45 minutes of class going on, right? In this 45 minutes of class, how many thoughts that came to you suddenly out of nowhere? I'm sure each one of you would have experienced some thought like that, isn't it? Suddenly you get a thought. Hey, from where that thought comes? Suddenly one thought comes. Suddenly a thought comes from nowhere about what happened to that fellow? What happened to this? What is this? That have to do this, that, some thought or the other. How many thoughts like that would have occurred? It doesn't matter how many, right? All the thoughts during the day, not only during this 45 minutes, the whole day, sum total of all the thoughts that you had, that had come to you by itself, sporadic thoughts, collection of that is called mind. Intellect means the thoughts that you churn and bring out of you. You consciously work to bring the thought, then it is intellect. I repeat, any thoughts that sporadically shoots up by itself is called mind. The thoughts that comes to you after you have put in conscious effort to bring that thought, that is called intellect. So for reasoning, you need to consciously put in effort, isn't it? Reasoning thoughts will not come by itself. But when you like something, the thoughts keeps coming by itself. You see, that is why likes and dislikes were put in the category of mind. This is put in the category of intellect. So anytime you use the word mind this. Okay, you got to remember. Don't simply use loosely words, please. You see, we keep using the words so loosely. Mind, intellect. Intellect is your capacity to deliberate, put in conscious effort, and bring in a thought. That is intellect. The thoughts that come by itself because of your particular habit, that is called mind. You are habituated, you are compelled, as it were. That is why if you have a desire for music, you will forcefully get the thoughts of music, automatic. If you have desire for, or if you have liking, or you have that strong emotion, a strong feeling, if you have, forcefully, compulsively, the thought will come out. that feeling will come. You don't have to put in any special effort for that. It comes by itself. So, what is mind, sir? If you have to say in one word answer if you have to give, or if you have to say it in one sentence, indiscriminate thought, flowing, is called mind, or sum total of all your indiscriminate thoughts collection is mind. Sum total of all your discriminated thoughts is called intellect. This is, remember, this is not complete analysis, please. He is only introducing mind and intellect now to us. As we go along, he is going to give various dimensions of mind, various behaviors of mind, various ways how the mind behaves, the nature of it, how it interacts, and what is intellect, all that. That's the whole study. Remember, today we are only introducing what is exactly, like what is management. You study, no? What is electricity? You study, right? The flow of charged electrons, that's called electricity. Problem solved, sir. But when it comes to application of it, huge is there. Exactly like the entire computer languaging is what? Only two: 0, 1. 0, 1. But how many programs are there? How many viruses are there? How many antiviruses are there? How many things we are able to do? All that we are doing. But as far as the computer is concerned, it understands only what? 0, 1. Similarly, in life, anything can happen. As far as a man who had studied Vedanta, he understands everything only pertaining to two things: mind, intellect. That's all. That's why sometimes people will get annoyed also with me, or with Swamiji maximum. At least, sometimes I keep quiet. But, people listen to him, they get really irritated after some time. They say, what is this? Everything this fellow says, only that, as though there is nothing else. There is nothing else. Now, what do you want me to do? The computer cannot understand anything other than 0 and 1. Full stop. You can go to him for anything. If you understand mind and intellect, how mind functions, how intellect functions, what is mind and what is intellect, you have done for this Janma. Forget about spirit, at least as far as I am concerned. You see, I don't know about the spirit dimension, realization, Atman, Brahman, Allah, I don't understand. I say, I don't know. But in this Janma, if I can understand mind and intellect, what is mind and what is intellect, how this is functioning, I say, this Janma work is over. You don't have to worry about anything else. Fascinating idea. Remember, beyond this, there is nothing in your life. But the problem is, everyone wanting to control mind, but hardly they pay attention to their desires, likes and dislikes, emotions, impulses. See, you want to retain your desires, but control mind. You see, that's what the problem is. That's why people, generally when you ask also, see, you must have control over your mind. They say, mind you should have control. Mind you should have control. Now, who is going to control the mind? Mind by itself cannot control itself. How is it possible? You see, to control, it needs something else, no? What is going to be controlling the mind? And when you say controlling the mind, what do you mean, sir? It's like saying, I need to have a beautiful face. I say, okay, man, but draw beautiful eye, no. You say, no, that and all I don't want. I want a beautiful face only. Forget about eyes, forget about eyebrows, forget about all these things. Means, when will you get a beautiful eye, beautiful face? It's impossible. You cannot control, you cannot deal with mind. Remember, because mind is not a entity having an independent existence. But what is having an independent existence is your desires, likes and dislikes, emotions, impulses, sporadic thoughts. You see, all that is a reality. That's where most of us, in the name of spiritual, don't attack the real existing things. We fight with the non-existing thing, fictitious thing, and say, I'm going to have, see, desires Allah you can have, but you should not have ego. You see, arrogance you should not have. You should not be egoistic. But ask a fellow, what is ego? That we don't care. You see, we just keep using words without defining those terms. Mug it up, please. From today onwards, even by mistake, you should not be misusing or using the word one for the other. What is that, sir? Mind, intellect. These two words you should never miss. So far, what we have seen is this. What is a human mechanism? What is a human being? A human being is made up of two things: spirit, matter. The spirit part of it is the consciousness, self, Brahman, Atman, etc. Various terms, depending upon the context, they use various words to refer to that aspect. Matter has three aspects: body, mind, intellect. Body has two sets of organs: organs of perception, organs of action. Mind, what is it, sir? Five things. Remember: feelings, emotions, impulses, likes and dislikes, desires. These five put together is called mind. In one word, all indiscriminate thoughts, sporadic thoughts, compulsive thoughts. Any one of those words you want to use, you can use. This side you come to intellect, that which reasons, thinks, judges, decides, comprehends. What is this side, sir? Has other aspect. Okay. There is world, and this is what you are. Now comes the interaction dimension of the two. Right. How these two interact. The interaction happens between these two things. The transactions are only three. There are three transactions happens between you and the world. The organs of perception receive the world, receive the stimulus from the world, and the mind and intellect reacts to the stimulus that is being received and throws back response to the world through this organs of action. So all that is happening in life is only three transactions. Now philosophy comes. Three transactions. Transaction 1, receipt. 2, reaction. 3, response. Receipt, reaction, response. Receipt, reaction, response. Receipt, reaction, response. This cycle, this is the traffic. The flow, the movement is happening in your life is this. This is what you are calling as experience. Whenever you say my experience, what you are referring to is the three things. What are the three? You receive a stimulus, you receive an information, and then you react. What is reacting? Mind is reacting to it, intellect is reacting to it. Then you throw back response to the world as through these organs of action. You perform actions. You do things. These three transactions that is happening in life: receipt of the stimulus from the world, the reaction within your personality and response to the world, response back to the world. Here is the transaction. Through the organs of perception, eyes, color and form, ears, sound, nose, smell, tongue, taste, skin, touch. This is the information that is received through the organs by the mind. Remember, your organ is not seeing it. It is the mind seeing through the organ called eye. It is your mind hearing through the organ called ears. It is the mind, or it is your inner personality that is smelling through the nose, through the tongue taste, through the skin touch. This mind receives the stimulus from the world. Then within the mind, what is there? Mind means what? Immediately replace that word mind with my likes and dislikes. Very easy. In this context, take it only likes and dislikes. Right? I have a like, I have a dislike. Now, if I have a like and dislike to the corresponding stimulus, it will cause a reaction. Right? That reaction will directly respond. That's what you see in the blue lines. Without interference of the intellect, straight away the mind produces the reaction and directs the responses also through the organs of action. A throwback response to the world. If that happens, your life is in trouble. Ideal method is what, sir? Your mind receive the stimulus, submit it directly to the intellect, allow the intellect to process that information and decide an appropriate response to be given to the world. If that process happens, your life is safe. Your experiences are good. You can make your life better. You can live a good life. Instead of going through the intellect, if the mind itself were to, how do you understand, sir? I'll explain that, in the next class, little detail. Okay, right now you just take it because you have seen the equation. So I wanted to complete the equation today. The mind reacts to the information and guides the organs of action to throw back response. Possibility 1. Possibility 2 is mind receives the information, submits to the intellect, allows the intellect to process it and decide the course of action to be executed by the organs of action. These are the two chances existing. Now, how do you understand the whole process, sir? Easiest way to understand is, it is working like a factory organization. In an organization, the information is received. The letter is received by a clerk and he submits it to the manager. And the manager decides the response, what is to be given. And he calls the secretary and asks the secretary to give the appropriate response back to the letter. So there is a person who receives that letter, brings it to this. Now, who is the one who is receiving it, sir? There is a receptionist. The receptionist is the organs of perception. Has to be beautiful, always. Pleasing to the eyes, at least, you say. That's what your body is. Okay, you receive that information, then it is given to that particular department. The department itself cannot be deciding the action. It has to be submitted to the general manager. The general manager gives the appropriate reply to that letter. If the general manager is not going to give that appropriate reply to the letter, imagine the department clerk himself decides what will happen to that organization. Right? It has to be his job is what? Receive, give there. Then the general manager decides the course of action, he responds us back. This is all that is happening in your life also. Through the organs of perception, you receive the stimulus, reaction happens inside you, and through the organs of action, you respond back to the world. This transactions of receipt, reaction, and response is what you are calling as life, is what you call as experience. What is your experience? And then what? Your reaction becomes a receipt for the other person. Then there is a receipt to that person. There is a reaction happens to that person, and that person throws back response. And that response becomes a receipt to you. This interaction goes on and on and on and on and on. This transactions, if you master what I need to do at the level of receipt, what is to be done at the level of reaction, what is to be done at the level of response, mastery of that is called mastery of life. See you next class. Hari Om. Thank you.